Hi, this is John from Sharp Mountain Games, and today we're going to talk about solo gaming. Let's do it. So today we're going to talk about playing RPGs solo. Just one person acting as both the players and the dungeon master. And this has really been around forever, just like there's solitaire for card games. So why would you want to play solo? Well, the obvious reason is maybe you don't have a group at the moment. But it also doesn't have to be an either-or situation. Maybe you do have a group or your group only meets occasionally, but you want to get some more gaming in between sessions. It's also a great way to learn a new system, or if you want to fine-tune some rules. Like sometimes I'll get a game system, but I want to streamline something or check it out. And it's just a great way to work out some of the bugs, without an audience there. It's also great because game masters, dungeon masters can test out different adventure scenarios, maybe that you're going to use with your players, and see if there's any problems or anything you want to change. And here's another great one. It's a great way to try out other genres. Let's just be honest about the elephant in the room, D&D 5th edition. That's what a lot of people want to play, and everybody wants to play D&D, and it's the grandfather of all the games. But, I think a lot of us want to try something different or try a science fiction game or something else. So this is a great way to, scratch that itch if you need to. So a real important question is, which rule set would you use for a solo game? My take, and it's just my opinion, is that simpler is better. Because you're juggling multiple characters. So you don't want something that's too complex or that you don't know really well. And just keep this in mind, not only are you juggling multiple characters, you're also running the NPCs, you're also running combat opponents, you're also fiddling with all the dice and recording everything. So this is one person managing quite a bit. Now, it's also good, maybe in terms of which rule set is one that you're trying to learn. For example, what I did was I took the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle starter set, and I just used their characters and I ran through the adventure. And it was really good for me to help learn some of the 5e mechanics because I tend to run more old school systems. I just tend to prefer them. But this was a good way. I ran through the 4 little short adventures in that starter set with their starter characters, their pre-gens. And it was a really good way for me to learn a lot of the rules mechanics. And also, you might want to consider there are some dedicated solo games out there. And I'm not going to list any one in particular. You could certainly do a search for that because I don't have one specifically to recommend. But I know there's some that are specifically written for this kind of thing. Almost like the old Choose Your Own Adventure books. Now, I use a really stripped down system. So you can see I wanted to show you my character sheet here. And I actually have 5 of these, although only 3 fit on the screen here. And you can see I basically just use the attributes and the bonuses, have the weapons, and then any special abilities or spells listed there on the right. Makes everything really, really easy for me to find. And everybody's on one sheet. I have 5 player characters, all on one sheet. So here's some tips for running combat. Things that I've found in my own solo gaming. Keep track of your hit points and spell slots separate. Don't mark up your character sheets. You'll want to kind of keep that clean. It just gets too much, especially if you end up running multiple combats, in a session, which you can. When you're playing solo, things go much, much faster than when you have a whole group around. I don't say that that's better or worse, but it is quicker. So you want a notebook or a piece of scrap paper, something that you can mark up and get all messy and not worry about things. Now, if you're using regular old variable initiative, you might want to use index cards, either with the characters' names on them, or if you can fit their basic stats on there, that's great, because then you could lay them out on a table and you can shuffle them. Also, if you're using like character sheets, like when I was using the starter set, if you can put those out on a table, you can just reorder them in the initiative order that you'd like. One thing you might want to consider, again, this is something that I do, is I use side initiative. We just roll a d6, a 1, 2, 3, the player characters go first, 4, 5, 6, the bad guys go first. And that's as simple as it is. And then I just go fighters thieves, clerics, and wizards go in that order. And that's also the order I have them on my character sheet. So at least for me, that makes things, there's no thinking in terms of the combat. That's the order the combat runs in. And also what I would suggest is if you have a dice tower or even a tray, a shoebox lid is absolutely fine. Something like that, just to keep your dice in order. Because, you don't want to spend your time hunting for the dice on the floor. I mean, and that's true in any game, but this really helps, I think, especially for solo. And beyond combat, because our game should be more than combat. Here's some general things that I've found with solo gaming. Name your characters. It's kind of silly, but it does help you get a little bit of a bond with your characters as you're playing and helps you keep straight who's who. Think about if you were writing a novel. You wouldn't call one guy, okay, hero 1, hero 2, villain 1. You wouldn't do that. By giving them names, you're starting to give them some ideas of personalities, and and they are. It is a type of fiction. Now, a problem is social encounters. In regular gaming, your players can talk to your NPCs, and you can see how well they do and how they approach things. And that's hard to do, because I guess you could talk to yourself if you wanted, but it's hard to do solo. So what you might consider is for social encounters, and maybe even like some other problem-solving encounters, do group checks. It gets you rolling the dice and say, okay, if half or more succeed or half or more get beat a 10 or beat a 15, then it's successful. It gives you something to do with the dice and brings something at least, because you don't know how it's going to play out. Brings a little randomness to social encounters. If you have a dedicated table where you can leave everything laid out, that's great. Even if you want to use miniatures and a map or something, or a Chessex battle map or something like that, that's wonderful. But probably like most of us, if you have family and if people who you're living with, you may not have that space, or you have a small apartment. So you might want at least a folder, or you could fold up your character sheets and tuck them in your notebook, somewhere where you can find it really quickly. And my last piece of advice, and this is going to vary for everybody, I would keep it casual. Maybe a notebook to help you keep track of where you were, when you left off last time is a good idea. But for me, I don't do a full thing like I'm writing a novel, or there's no need to write a novel or a campaign journal. You absolutely can if you want to. But if you're a game master running another game or two, or playing in another game or two, you may have other things that you're keeping track of. I would keep the solo gaming, or at least for me, the solo gaming is a release. It's a kind of like free time or free play. Now, obviously, solo gaming is a different experience than having a group. There's fewer surprises. That's just the way it's going to be, because there's really only one person. But the surprises come from rolling the dice. But it's a great way to get more gaming into your life, to fine-tune a new system, or if you're trying some new mechanics, especially if you want to play a different game or a different genre than maybe your regular group does. And again, the best thing is it's available 24/7. All you need is a few minutes of your day, 15, 20 minutes if you want to get a little break from your the mundane world. And that's all you need to do some solo gaming. And no matter what, it's better than watching TV. And if you'd like to check out the titles from Sharp Mountain Games, you can see our 2 in-print adventures, The Dwarven Pickup Truck and The Sky Tree, at Amazon, Lulu, or drivethrurpg. You can also check out our digital titles, which include adventures, map packs, new character classes, and character cards, and they're at drivethrurpg or the Roll20 Marketplace. Wherever you like to shop, odds are that we're there. So you know what to do. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All the links to our products are in the description below. And thanks, and we hope to see you again soon.